I'm good. I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. We're recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this episode of All in the Delivery, episode 34. Guys, and this one's real quick. I'm going to say it again like I have past couple times. This one's brought to you by you guys. That's right, you guys, our Patreon subscribers. And guys, with our Patreons in our corner, we can reach our goals and continue delivering greatness. We would like to thank Tony, Fernando, Andrew, Nate, Max, Clement, Sam, and Ryan for your continued support. If you guys want to see what all the buzz is about, go to patreon.com/AITD pod. That's patreon.com/AITDPOD to sign up today. Guys, and joining us, my co-host down in West By God, Virginia, Luke. How are you, buddy?
I don't know. That'll ever get old.
That was from the very first episode. First episode. It's stuck.
And I've listened to that not that long ago. I mean, it's been a little bit now, but probably
First episode?
Yeah, probably like maybe a month and a half.
God, we were so terrible.
And yeah, it was pretty bad. And but when I heard that original fuck, I was like, holy shit, there it was. And I think it was literally the first one. And I can't remember what I can't remember what we were saying, but it was in a negative response for sure. Something about it makes me laugh because when you hear it, it just
makes everybody laugh.
One word, it's like a picture's worth 1,000 words, but that one word, that soundbite's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
But no, this was the first week back from vacation. It wasn't bad. I only worked real late one day. And now if you see me take my headphones up, it's because of my animals, because we're recording a little bit earlier. They
so they're down there.
They like to fucking frolic. No, they're not down here right now. But depending on what time, my wife works on Saturday, so depending on what time she goes to bed, my oldest one is the biggest baby of all of the whatever. But yeah, he comes down and he just lays on my feet eventually, and I'm just kind of waiting for that moment because it'll happen probably within the hour. Yeah.
Well, listen, we'll be here having a good time. So
fuck yeah.
That's right. And guys, let me tell you, we'll be having a good time with our guest today. And let me tell you something, guys, real quick. Our guest, she heard Earl's episode and she got in contact with us, and she wants to, tell her story. And so, that's what we're here for, to get to know people, to give them a platform to tell their story. And so let me tell you a little bit real quick about our guest, guys. She is a trauma-informed yoga teacher and educator. All right, guys. She's also a 500-hour registered yoga teacher. That's a lot of fucking time.
There's been a lot more time since then, my friend. I just don't think they give any more certifications after that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, she's got a whole resume, and we are so excited to talk about it all. So let's just get into it, guys. Please welcome to the show, Tara Sanders. Tara, how are you?
I am well. I'm really excited to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. How was your day? How was your weekend going?
Well, I think, as you know, I'm kind of buzzing. I'm definitely in the midst of, the word we've been using is like at capacity. I'm kind of bursting at the seams. I'm super excited. I was like, I'm going to throw my Phenomenal Woman shirt, like Rah Rah's Women's Month, Women's History Month, which is kind of like Black History Month and all the other history months. It's like, it shouldn't be bookended by a month. It's like, those are things that we should be, thinking about all year long. But I'm really excited. I'm definitely in the midst, very honestly, of like the busiest month of my career to date. I just co-produced an event last night for Women's History Month where the state senator was. I've been on podcasts, I've been on radio, I've been singing. Someone was like, I can't look anywhere without seeing or hearing your face. I was like, hope that's okay for you guys. Like, I'm sorry, not sorry.
Oh, that's awesome though.
So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really grateful. We'll get kind of into it, but like my journey, like I've been working really hard on the projects and endeavors that I've, and it's like, it's like 2 steps forward, sometimes 1 step back. But kind of just think this year, especially in the midst of this crazy COVID thing, it's just kind of my life exploded in an amazing way. So I'm serving my community. I'm definitely tired sometimes. So trying to fit in self-care when we can, which I know we'll get to, but I'm good. I'm excited. I'm really thankful, especially for all the opportunities to kind of serve my community in all the unique ways I do.
I would like to say, because when you said Women's History Month, I saw this earlier in the week and I knew this, I figured we would be talking about this, and I wanted to share a story. Okay. This is something that, because I talk about my grandmother a lot, and this is actually my grandmother's mother. So locally where I'm at now in North Central West Virginia, same area, just a little bit further south than where I'm at right now. So she was my great grandmother. My grandmother's still living. She's 99. Oh. She is her birthday's in September. So we she's getting close to the home stretch of making it to 100.
A centennial party.
And so she remembers the Depression, the Great Depression and stuff. And so I just wanted to tell a story about my great grandmother, because this was a thing. She worked at she ran the grocery store of I don't know exactly if there was franchise or what it was. I'm guessing it was but it was like this, the town of the area. She ran, that was the grocery store everybody went to. And, with the Depression and the way, so many people were out of work, she and her husband being one of them. And, she stepped up, and she fed a lot of people. She didn't make them a lot. If it would be with trade or, credit, whatever. I knew credit wasn't really around them, but, they didn't have money. She would, she kept people fed, and was a big part in that, of the area that she lived in during the Great Depression. And I don't know how big it was then. It's obviously grown a lot more now. They've probably got like, I don't know, 50,000 people in the county, but it wasn't the size then. But I thought I was like, Women's History Month. I was like, I thought that would be a story to share, just something that because I never got to talk to her about it. She also lived to be 99. She died when I was 20. So I got to know her very well.
Oh, that's great.
The last thing I'll say about her real quick, I always tell this story. When I was in 5th grade, I did a report on the Titanic, and I was at my grandmother's, and she was like, yeah, I remember when that happened. She was like 12 years old and remembered it going out on the radio. Like, it was just weird to hear, be like, wow, thinking like that was so fucking long ago.
Kind of like Dave's not like, no big deal. She's just like, oh yeah, no, that thing that happened in the Titanic. No
yeah, right. It's like, damn, you think that's just like generations ago. But it was right?
So she was alive for the last pandemic.
I was going to say,
yes.
1918.
Right? She had to have been just born.
My
1920.
My grandmother.
No, yes, yes. No, your grandmother.
My grandmother is born in 1921. She was born in September of 1921.
Right, so she was born right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think it was like 1920
baby, back then.
Yeah.
Now all the pandemic babies that are being born now, it's like, you'd be like, Grandma, what's up? I mean,
right.
I mean, I just had one.
I was gonna say, you just had one, right? In the midst of the pandemic.
Oh my gosh.
I'll tell you, it's so
2 pandemics, bro, she's been through.
Yeah. God, that's pretty crazy. I'll have to bring that up to her. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously she won't remember that one, but like, that's fucking nuts.
I mean, that is pretty crazy when you think about it. And she, I know she's got both of her shots. She's good to go.
Well, that's enough. And I think, I mean, any sort of history, I think, is beautiful. And from any tradition and any culture, the power of ancestral, like, storytelling, like, you're hearing all of these things from your history and your life that are so rich in culture and just, value that you wouldn't hear otherwise, I mean, are like, even like if they write them down and pay it forward and kind of share it. But that's cool. I mean, if anything, when you were telling me that story, Luke, about your great grandmother, to me, I was like, she's an essential worker. Like the people like you guys that are delivering, keeping people like with their packages throughout, people that are in the grocery stores, the healthcare workers, like those people, teachers. I was thinking when you were sharing that story, I was like, your great grandma was an essential worker.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was weird because I'd heard that she was a badass. Like I didn't know her. Like she was 80 when I was born. So I knew her well, but I knew her as like an old, she was just a happy, great. I mean, she was great to me, but she was like basically like the typical great. I mean, she just was happy go lucky, but I heard, in her day she was a badass. My dad and my aunts, they'll tell me that as well. I don't know if my grandmother would, but yeah, they would say she was. I mean, that's, she came up, she was born in 1904. That's enough.
I can't even imagine. I mean, I can't even imagine, like, when we hear, I can't even imagine. Like, I definitely would say as long, like all my grandparents, unfortunately, have passed on, but I got so much from talking to my grandmother. Like, she knew Truman Capote. She would tell me stories of how she would, like, use her lunch money and ride down to the docks to, like, go see the sailors at Coney Island. I was like, Grandma, you're doing.
And that's what I mean. It's like you hear these stories, and then once you because I just told that story, I think, on the last podcast, or maybe that one last 2 we recorded, of my grandfather telling a story. I watched Jaws, the story he told me as a kid, and but like hearing just it's so true. It's like you want to. It's like the opportunity to talk to them and just be able to just to pick their brains.
Like
to
do it while they're still alive. Like I said, ask questions, right? That stuff. Like just like it's so rich and just amazing.
And that's what's fortunate with mine. She's still in pretty good shape. She her mind's well. She's still she still lives alone, but that might like it's we obviously people were with her more, like staying overnight, like but she quit driving at 97, so she's a pretty big badass herself.
That's awesome. So dude, that's crazy, man. When's her birthday, you said? September? When's
September 20, I think it's September 25th. Yeah. September 25th will be
incredible.
I know, man. It's surreal to think about.
100.
But she'll say, like, well, when you get to my age, you'll see your knees will hurt real bad. And I'm like, yeah, well,
they already do.
I was gonna say, Earl tells me his knees hurt now. And
I'm thinking I'm not making it to 99.
Yeah.
But my knees hurt pretty bad now as well.
So Tara, let's get to you. Let's take us back to your life growing up.
Oh my goodness. It's like, how deep are we going to go today, my friends? Yeah. So a little bit of backstory. I was born and raised in, what is like called the most famous small town, right? Woodstock, New York. Luke, have you ever been in this area?
Not to Woodstock. No. I mean, okay. I've been to New York City before, but I've been to Ithaca and Cornell University. I've been to Cornell.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Yeah. So you visited the great state of New York. Yeah. So Dave,
I've been there.
Yeah. Dave obviously knows. Born and raised in, I guess, the mid-Hudson Valley. Anytime I call it upstate, like when we really go upstate, like Woodstock, this area is upstate to New Yorkers, like New York City folks. But when we go upstate, I'm like, I'm from upstate. They're like, no, honey, you're from the Hudson Valley. So I'm like, I'll put in my place real quick. So anyway, Born and raised here. I am like only child, but you know, kind of like that saying, it takes a village. I was definitely raised by a huge community, like a huge tribe of people. And I grew up with arts and culture and music. Really thankful for that. My mom's a really well-known healer. My stepdad's a musician. You know, with any amazing community, especially like arts and music, I mean, what do they used to call it? Like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Definitely like kind of that, like, you know, undercurrent, the dark side that all small towns have. You know, we'll keep it light and bright. Had, you know, some trauma growing up, some adversity, as we all do. My dad passed away pretty abruptly and unfortunately when I was 12, you know, so I funneled all that energy. I had also grown up doing a lot of performing arts. I kind of funneled all that energy, at least for me, into my studies and into just like focusing, and was like, I'm all right. You know, graduated with honors, had a full scholarship to college for pre-law. And then once I left the house and I didn't really have that container, you know, anymore of like, you have to go to school every day, things kind of started to kind of crack and fall apart for me. But what do they say? Like a breakdown is a breakthrough. So kind of like a phoenix. I feel like, I mean, I've had, you know, the more you get to know me, people have like, you took the lives of like 10 women. And I'm like, I don't know. So I'm waiting. Everyone tells me I got to write my book. So maybe this will inspire me to do that. You know, I got into
definitely
the restaurant. I mean, I was living in New York City, like, you know, partying like a rock star, living my best life. And then I moved home to the area. I actually ended up moving to India when I was, I think like 25 or 26. I don't know if you've heard the phrase like quarter life crisis. I definitely had one. Thankfully, I didn't have any social media accounts at that time in my life. So like all the messy stuff has been kept offline, which I'm so thankful for. I didn't get any of those things till much later. So I went there. I mean, some of my friends are like, you had to eat, pray, love. And I was like, okay, cool. I definitely ate a lot of samosas, definitely prayed and meditated. And I fell in love a few times there. So like fast forward, I came back to the area when I was like in my late 20s. And, you know, one thing I think is really important is, you know, a lot of people leave their hometown and a lot of people run away from their demon. And I get it. Like you know, my story and my journey, I can't, you know, if you come to my yoga classes, I say all the time, comparison is the thief of joy. So, you know, like even with the whole Me Too movement.
I love that saying. I love that. I love that saying. Yes. I forget what I saw. I don't know if he quoted saying it as well, but it you know how memes come up. I think I saw it like with Bill Murray, maybe, or somebody. I don't know, but I don't know where I heard it. I don't think it was, but it was just one of those things that I saw it somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't remember where, but I feel like that's just a shot in the dark. But I love that. I love that saying. So.
Yeah. So like I said, it's like my journey, I can't ever compare to anyone else's. So it's like, I know some kids who've had a lot of stuff happen in this hometown and like left and never came back. Like, cool, props to you. I support you on your journey. But mine kind of was like, I thought of, you know, I ran away to Costa Rica. I lived in India, which was actually more of like a finding myself, you know, but sometimes you do need to leave an area to get some space from it. Like a job, a relationship, you know, the pandemic, you need some space sometimes.
Right.
So for me, it was just, I came back to the area in kind of like my late 20s. And that was when I really started practicing yoga for myself. Because, you know, yoga for me, and mind you, like, again, don't know how into it we're going to get. I'm going to ask you guys a question. When I say yoga, what's like the first few things you think of?
I'll actually, I had this as a question. Like this was probably going to be spitballed, but we had a couple that I put down. But I said I had the, you know, I have like the flexibility of a rock, and
actually, it's so funny you say that, because whenever I get angry, I'm always like, I want to go outside and break rocks. And people like, do rocks break? I was like, I don't know, but I want to break rocks. So
yeah, like I'm not. I mean, I don't know. I never was really all that flexible. I was going to say, like, I could touch the ground and like touch my toes. That's just because I have a big torso and shorter legs. It's not really, I could probably still touch my toes now, but I'm not flexible at all. Yeah.
When you think of yoga, you think that means that you're bendy?
No, well, yeah. And I don't know. I don't want to say just that, because I know it's a lot more than that. And I know if I did yoga, not even the flexible part, just in certain positions I've seen people in, I know it takes strength And I'm not in that great. I've fucking said it probably since we started this podcast that I'm not, and I want to get back into, well, obviously, COVID with a weight room or whatever, but I've wanted to work out and I'm not in that great of shape. So I know yoga would kick my ass, but I don't know it enough or understand it enough to know exactly why it would. Like I would say it. I don't look at it. Yes. Like when I think of yoga, I think of it more like I'm curious. I don't disrespect any form of exercise because that's pretty much what I did until like from 14 until 30. I worked out. Oh, sorry.
No. I was going to say because that's kind of the same thing with me in a way. Luke, I could kind of agree with you on that one. And it's like, for me, when I hear yoga, it's going to be a little bit more different probably than Luke's because I know somebody who's a yoga instructor in New Paltz. And do you know a female named Lana?
How do you say her last name?
It
starts with like an H, right?
Yes.
I think we're friends on Facebook, but not in real life.
Okay. So so they had the Hudson Valley Circus Arts.
Yes.
Her and her partner there has the Hudson Valley Circus Arts thing. And so my wife used to go there a lot. So I actually went into one of their acro yoga classes.
Oh, no way.
And so I kind of probably have a deeper meaning to it than when I hear yoga than Luke does, I would say. You know what I mean? But
so continuing with kind of my story. So fast forward is like, I just wanted to get a feel for you. So, and again, like, I think.
Yeah, I'm a novice. Just talk to me of it like.
The beginner's mind. By the way, let's also just say, if anyone comes to you and like, they're like, I'm a master teacher, it's like, run. Keep him, It's like, I think beginner's mind is always a beautiful thing. And however many hundreds or 1,000 hours I've studied, it's like, I'm learning every single day. And whether you're I think that's something, stay humble, stay open to learning because, that's just a good philosophy and way to live life. I mean, for me, so when I came back in my late 20s and I moved back to New York City, and that was where I did my training actually, because my mom is so well known in the local area that I was like, I don't want to be, she's amazing and we do a lot of work together now. But when I was younger, I was like, I don't want to be known as her daughter. Like I needed to get some space. So I went to the city and I started doing my training. And like I said, as kind of a survivor of some childhood trauma, yoga for me helped me be present. And that I think is one of the really important things. And we can, share those with tools and resources, for some of the people on your podcast, that it's like, our mind, especially during COVID, is like ping pong things, ping pong, it's like past, future. It's like, how often are we just like here now? Like even now, like take a pause, feel what's touching the earth, like, and we can practice that. And that's the thing. Yoga is great to be bendy and stretchy. But for me, and again, just as I said earlier, me and my journey is like yoga is how are we when we're like in traffic? Yoga is how are we when we get that text from our significant other, or when we're like we're like, hating on them or like, yoga to me is like the stories that we're telling ourselves, and even mindfulness, because that's a huge buzzword, right? Mindfulness. It's a practice. And that's the thing. It's a practice, and we can always begin again and again. And the present moment is just a series of another again and again and again. So I think the ability to practice being present for me is what really got me hooked in, because I couldn't, when I'm in these crazy poses and standing on my head and doing, half moon and all these things and warrior, I couldn't think about my trauma. I couldn't think about, because if my mind went there, I would fall out of the shape or I'd fall out of the pose, which totally happened many times as well. But for me, I really embodied the practice of like, I am here, I am safe in my body, I am strong, I am grounded. And again, it's a practice, because even since I got into this practice really seriously over 10 years, life has thrown me like, woo, not even in COVID since then. So then, for me, I was also really clear. I really wanted to be the cheerleader of the underdog. So again, when people hear yoga, they're like, you have to be skinny, you have to be flexible, you have to be wealthy, like to be able to pay for $20 classes. And I was like, I'm going to debunk this. So actually, like my first yoga teaching job ever was with like an outreach mental health day clinic in Poughkeepsie with people that were really struggling. And then also with LGBT homeless youth in New York City. And these are kids that were like coming in, prostituting, high. And I was like, guys, we're just going to get together and breathe. Like, we're just going to hang out and be present. And the magic that came from that, I mean, inspiring these kids, they came out there being like, Miss Tara, we want to walk straight so I can win a beauty pageant. I was like, you go live your best life. And then I think obviously just for my own background, I really gravitated towards working with survivors of sexual assault, survivors of domestic violence. But if anyone really gets to know me and just takes any class of me or follows me on social media, it's like, I'm like, if you can breathe, you can practice yoga. It's a practice. It's not a doing. That also being said, yoga in the West has become a bazillion-dollar industry where people are doing acro yoga, people are doing hip hop yoga. I mean, people are doing like, and I've gone to all those classes just to kind of try it out. But I think really what I embody, at least what I teach, again, mind you, I love hip hop. I love, Earl and I make our dance videos, I love all those things. I think it's really a wonderful practice that we've been able to cultivate and share. Also, because, we'll probably get into it. A county that I live in has funded our programming for free since 2017. So it's actually been able to streamline it and make it a free available social service to survivors, people going through difficult times, those supporting survivors. And we pivoted during the pandemic and we've been offering it virtually for like a year. So for me, yoga is like, this is yoga. Like, how are we talking to each other? How are we talking to ourselves?
That's awesome.
I love that because see, that's what I would never know because it's not that I would try anything, but to hear that just interests me even more. I feel like I don't know how, like I used to run, I ran like a 10K marathon when I was still I played football when I was in college and I was about 280, big guy. And when I signed up for this 10K, I was getting, this was actually up in New Hampshire. This was at my aunt's. I signed up with my cousin. It was her mom, my aunt's 60th birthday. And there was people like, I could hear, they were snickering, like I could see them looking at me or snickering because I like outweighed everybody there and I was actually not in that bad of shape. I was a nose guard. I was big. I ran it fucking pretty well, but I was just like, oh, you motherfuckers. Because I was, like I said, the next person might have weighed like 170 pounds, and then there's me. But
again, comparison is the thief of joy. Let them run their race. Why are they even concerned about you running your race?
This is the thing when you say that with with that quote. Why I love it so much, and I've used that with social media, especially because that's a thing that gets, you know what I mean? Like, especially, I feel like the
comparison effect.
Yes. Facebook is so bad with that. I feel like, cause it was kind of it wasn't really the first, but it's kind of like the oldest of what's around now.
You mean no MySpace?
Yeah, no MySpace, right. That guy here, and I can't remember his name, but he sold MySpace for like $400 and some million. He's just kicking it somewhere, enjoying no drama. Yeah, Tom. He was.
I was like, "Did you say mom? Like, is your mom there?" No, Tom. Yeah, Tom.
And I didn't actually have MySpace.
I didn't get social media until 2015, and I was like probably the biggest blessing. So many of my a lot of people call me Drew Barrymore. I like peaked in my behavior in my like teens, and now I'm like namaste. So I'm glad. But one thing I was going to say, let's also just like put this out there. Everything you see on social media, whoever is running the account, unless they're paying someone to, they hit up, like they're curating what they want the world to see.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, when you see all the pretty happy families, that might be real. I mean, everything is real in some sort of, but
Well, then it's not.
Or it's like, but wait, I just saw your husband at Stewart's with another woman getting ice cream.
Right.
Or there's people that share like darkness, or there's like influencers. And then, I mean, the scary thing is when people are there's so many studies. I mean, what was that movie that we watched? Like The Social Network? Was that what it's called? Where it's like people are so, literally, it's changing our hormones and like that effect of like, when you hear the ping, you're like, oh my gosh, addicted to it. Or especially because again, I work with a lot of youth now, like addiction, depression, anxiety, like you were talking about anxiety, Dave. I mean, obviously we're living in pretty anxious times, is like through the roof. So let's just be clear that like social media is as real as people want to make it.
Oh yeah. That's what, and I've always I try to keep it as absolutely real as I can on there. Like, because if I'm in a bad mood on Instagram, especially like if I'm having a bad day, I don't really like to post anything because I don't even like to, sometimes you have like, if I'm in a bad mood, I don't feel like I wouldn't want to be on there and be like, that's just me.
Like, great. Well, it's interesting you say that because actually, so when I did my yoga training, they were, so mind you, all their conversations. So trauma-informed yoga, we use something called invitational language versus directive language. And we use no hands-on assist. Obviously, we're practicing virtually now, so that's not a concern. But I do remember in my training many years ago when we were doing more traditional yoga and we had to intern and kind of mentor, and we would like walk around the class while the teacher was teaching. They were like, if you're having a crappy day, like, do not go touch a student. Like, do not transmit that energy. Don't feed that to someone through so I think that that's also just a good way to kind of live life. I mean, again, for me, I've kind of overshared at points in my life. Like when the whole Me Too thing happened, I shared my story. I've shared about how my dad died of a drug overdose. I've shared about some of my traumas. And mind you, interestingly enough, that's how I got a lot of my jobs, was because I was so open and so vulnerable and just so like, this is me, guys. And so I think a lot of people in my community gravitated towards me, and that's how I got job opportunities. But then interestingly enough, once something's on the internet, unless you go and do some recon and delete it, then it's up there. So interestingly enough, like I'm like, I'd say like almost a decade kind of really into this part of my career. It's funny because like, as you guys know, Earl, like, I'm like, I just want to live happily ever after and make my dance videos and live my best life. But then for years, every time I'm introduced to do a public speaking event, they're like, Tara Sanders, a survivor of trauma. Or like, I won an award in 2019 for mentoring women and raising hope in our community. And the woman, bless her heart, who introduced me was like, she found her dad deceased on the bathroom floor. And I was like, oh, okay, didn't know we were going to go there in front of 300 people, but let's roll with it. So I think that's the other thing with you. It's like, we can always begin again. Like who we are yesterday, not who we are today. Yes. And there are habits. And I mean, they even talk about that, some scars, like there are grooves, like where your attention goes, energy flows. Like, there's that poem called Two Wolves, right? Yeah. Two Wolves. And it's like, you're going to feed the good wolf or the bad wolf. So obviously whichever one you feed is going to get stronger. I mean, that's just life. Right. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
This might get kind of deep here. So if you don't want to answer, okay.
I'm ready.
But I have to, because when you said that about your dad,
yeah, I'm an open book about it.
It's more of a just maybe because you said you were 12, right? Was that what you?
My dad, yeah, and I mean, my dad passed away from a drug overdose when I was 12, and I found him on his birthday. So that's pretty crappy all around.
I actually would. Albert on his episode, he had brought up addiction, and I spoke about somebody that I knew that had lost their battle with it. And the question I have is, his son, pretty much the exact same scenario like you did, found him on the bathroom of a drug overdose. He was younger. I think like 7 or, but I was going to say, like, what avenue did you kind of seek to cope with that, to deal with that, to kind of move, if you don't mind, because I'm kind of.
I mean, this is what I do. I mean, you know what I mean? So I'm happy to talk about any or all. I mean, I think when I was referring to that, I was more saying like at this age in my mid 30s, I've lived it. I've had the hot mess express and like self-destruction. Like I said, thank gosh I was off social media because it was not cute. I'm saving that for my tell-all, and then I had the healing and the reclamation. So I'm empowered. And like, mind you, I have triggers. I have hard days. Where that event was last night in Midtown Kingston was where my dad used to take me to score heroin, and it's like, but I've done enough healing and I have enough wherewithal and enough tools and enough support and love to be able to go back to my community and serve. Mind you, there are some people that were like, I will never walk down that street again. I mean, I see my childhood abuser still in CVS and I'm like, I'm okay, I'm safe, keep it moving. So I'm happy to talk about any or all. I just more meant to say, like, I don't live there. Like, I don't necessarily love to be defined by that because
right.
But I think someone who's lived through it and then can be a lighthouse and pay it forward, which is why I do this work. Like I would not do any of the work I did had it not been for the that I lived through as a kid. Sure, so to say, with your friend's son, so with any trauma, again, and I'm a trauma-informed teacher, there's something called like fight, flight, or freeze, right? Fight, flight, or freeze response. And mind you, we're all living that in this pandemic, right? You think it, right. And it's like you fight or you flight, you flee, or you freeze. So for me, at the age of 12, when I, unfortunately discovered my father, I just went into like panic. I wouldn't even say panic mode. It's like there's I've studied somatic psychology. There's adrenaline, there's cortisol. So I like called 911. I was just like in overdrive. Like it's like almost like you're outside of your body. So also, honestly, that's why yoga brings you back to the present moment, grounds you. I am here. Like I often talk about my class, like touching the earth, like what's here to somatically ground you. So, for me, like I think I said earlier when I was kind of introing myself as Dave's question, I didn't process it at that age. They did try to send me to a school psychologist. I think I did maybe some like art therapy stuff for a few months. But the way I coped at that age was I did really well in school. Like I said, it was like, this didn't happen. I knew it happened, but it was just like, I'm okay. Like I just pushed through and overcompensated in all the other parts of my life. Right. Mind you, I had some just like I said, I was like partying like on the side and like doing some things. Thankfully I got by those years because I've had a lot of love and support. But like I said, when I then became 18 or 19 and left that container that was literally like holding me, like, don't crack, Tara, like, don't lose your right now. I said the S word, sorry. And it's like, don't lose it. Then I started to unravel and fall apart. But again, a breakdown can be a breakthrough. So again, my journey looks different. And I know people who've experienced some of the things I have that have lost their journey to addiction, that have committed suicide. I've been in extremely dark places, and by the grace of God and support and help, I'm a tenacious, they call me tenacious Tara. So I've gotten through it. So, later in life was when I really started, I developed PTSD. Like, I don't know how much you guys either know about it or experience it or talk about it, but like post-traumatic stress, I had dissociation. I had flashbacks. I had just like numbing and just like, I'm not dealing with that. So my coping later in life, and coping is something to help us kind of like keep us in that container. So for me, at least, I wanted to kind of smash those coping skills because to me, it's like an old code. It was like residue. It wasn't serving me anymore. It wasn't helping me. So I did therapy. I did talk therapy, like traditional, which I think there's a space for it. But I also think, as they say, like the tissues are in your issues. So the issues are in your tissues. Yes, I said it wrong. My dyslexia. Your issues are in your tissues. So it's like, if you're just a talking head, we can all just rationalize. Even with COVID, we're like, we've been in this a year. We're fine. Like everything's fine, right, guys? Like, I'm okay. And then you're just kind of like holding it together when like behind closed doors, you're like, think about it, I need wine or I need to cry or I lash out at my kids or something. So, the long-winded story is I held it together when that childhood trauma, like shock trauma, that's what they're going to call it. Shock trauma happened, as it sounds like it happened to your friend's son. And I overcompensated by just being an overachiever. Then in my later teens and early 20s, I crashed and burned and I fell apart. But then I started to rebuild. And like I said, I've had hard days and I have great days. For me, so my dad died when I was 12. 2 years ago, I actually drove out to South Dakota with his best friend and spent some time on a Native American reservation in South Dakota, which was an amazing experience because my dad, while he was, a white Brooklyn Jew, adhered to those ways of the Native American tradition. So I actually spent time as a supporter at the Sundance, was phenomenal. And then after we drove to Nebraska and spread my dad's ashes, and that was 20 some odd years later. And when I say I cried like a baby, Luke, when we when we released his ashes, surrounded by the men who had been my dad's best friends, when I say I released, it was like, I don't think I had ever cried that much. And I think I was releasing tears from 20 some odd years ago that I had been holding in.
Oh no, I get that. Cause it wasn't like with you, but I lost a parent. I lost my mother at a young age. She had breast cancer. So it wasn't like, she just got worse and just lost her battle with it. So we kind of, it sort of knew it was coming sort of thing. But I was 5. I remember her, and I've told people, I've always said it's like a dream kind of thing, not really. But I'll just say that real quick. But she had some journals that my stepmother ended up giving to me.
Wow.
My dad has been remarried. She's basically, she's been in my life. They've been married since 1995. We're basically, I don't even like to say stepmother, but she was the one that had it and gave it to me. And I get it. 20. I read some of the stuff in there, and I understand. I'll just say it. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, and again, this can be way beyond, we're talking about trauma informed. There's like, they even talk big T's, little T's. All 3 of us on here could see the same car accident and have a completely unique, different experience in our nervous system based on our past things, based on our experiences. So again, like what's traumatic for some people is not so much for other. Mind you, like in the first part of the pandemic, while things were nutso, my therapist actually was like, Tara, you're dealing with this so well because you've seen in your life. You're like, oh, this is nothing. That was like the first, then I was like, okay, this is becoming a little hard, but like the first few months of the pandemic, and mind you, I know people who've passed away from the pandemic. I had very close family members and friends who've had COVID, unfortunately. Like I was extremely concerned for my elderly parents, my step parents and my mom. But there was some part of me was like, I'm resilient as heck. Like I got this, like, let's do this. While other people were really unraveling and having issues with isolation and, mental health issues. So I think, that word coping, it's like, what is that word coping? Because to me, coping is almost trying to put like a Band-Aid over it, right? Coping is like, let me just get through it. Like, let me just push through it. And it's like, let's pause. Like what happens if we spend some time and get really curious about what's underneath, And so I don't even really love the word anymore, coping skills, because I spent years coping and like presenting to everyone that I was fine. That's what's interesting. Like once I finally did get social media and my high school guidance counselor and my teachers and everyone started following me. I got called into a meeting because I was actually going to go back to my high school, and I might still, and I was going to share and teach things to the students there. And I went to I was 33 at the time. And I went into my former high school's guidance counselor's office, and she was amazing. She was a godsend. Like she had my back anytime throughout my high school career. I was like, I need to be in this class and with this teacher. She did it because she knew what happened to me in 7th grade. And I sat in her office and she looked at me and she like apologized. And I was like, oh gosh, what's going on? And she almost had tears in her eyes. And she's like, we had no idea what you were going through. I'm like, I don't want to cry now, but she was like, we had no idea. Like you presented as if you were fine. And she apologized. And I was like, for what? Like, I'm a childhood survivor of trauma. Like I'm really good at keeping secrets, like and making and getting A's and getting a full scholarship to college and coping.
Right. And here you are thinking she's awesome. And she's apologizing to you.
I was like, oh my gosh, please. I said to her, I was like, that she was, and it was from a sincere place. She was just like, she was like, I almost feel like I didn't do my job, that I didn't like, you're oversharing on social media now and presenting at speeches and publicly open of like all these things were happening to you and how dark and despair, in so much darkness and despair you were. And they're like, we weren't here to help you. And I was like, I never asked for, that was my thing. I'm an only child. I had all this trauma. What did I do? I closed. I had a closed fist. I like did not need, or I was like, I'm fine until I wasn't fine. And I think, again, circling back to even some of the people, that are on this podcast, and then a lot of the people that listen, it's like, I'm sure with drivers, you guys see a lot of stuff, right? Personally and professionally. And what do you guys do? You show up with a smile, obviously with a mask now. You show up with a smile. You're like, I'm fine, right? And I've heard these stories from Earl, right? Everyone knows him as Earl the Pearl and this amazing, vibrant person, which he is. And again, we're not going to make this bad, but he's got a life and struggles and traumas, which he spoke about some of them on the podcast, where it's like, everyone sees you guys as your happy-go-lucky delivery drivers. Maybe some are not nice ones. Maybe I've heard the FedEx guys, I hear they just like throw the packages and like leave them like, we're not going to hate on anyone. But so yeah, I just think so many of us cope. And I think through my own healing journey, I kind of like an onion, right? You peel back the layers. And it's ever evolving, and again, without getting too deep, this past winter for me was one of the hardest winters of my life. And I'm actually preparing to write a piece about it because everyone is right now calling me a superwoman and wonder and supernova. I'm like, this was one of the darkest winters. Like I went to a place that I was like, I didn't know how I was going to come back from it. And from the support of my partner, Earl, and my family, and just, again, my own tenacity and knowing that there's more out there than those dark moments. It's just like, what Pema Chodron, who's a famous Buddhist nun, she's like, we're just the weather. It's just like the passing, like our mind is like the weather. So it's like yesterday, as you would know, Dave, it was raining in the morning, and then it was windy, and then it was sunny. So it's like, that's kind of like our psychology, right? It's like, we can be any of those things. So I think so many people out there are coping from COVID, from trauma, from life. And we all, I mean, some people get really into you were talking about exercise. Some people are exercise addicts. I mean, that's like a risk. Some people are food addicts. Some people are sex addicts, like social media. So I think, you know, what I try to do in my own personal life, and mind you, I am always learning, and I have so much more to grow and learn every day. And I'm like, I humble myself. And for people out there, especially in the yoga practice, it's just an invitation to get curious about what's there. And just like from there, that's where kind of the magic and the medicine and the learning happens. But you have to be open enough. And I think if you're armoring and you're coping, you don't feel safe. And people are so armored physically, emotionally, you can see it in body language. So my hope through my yoga practice and what I share with my students is that it's a welcoming, safe place to like begin again and be present for whatever comes up, whether it be joy, sorrow, excitement, grief. So that's that.
I'm telling you what, I gotta try fucking yoga.
You can come to my classes. I mean, we'll get to it. They're virtual now, so you can tune in from anywhere.
Oh, I would. That would be.
And they're free. They're free.
I would absolutely try yoga.
Yeah.
I mean, I like meditation and shit like that. I shouldn't say shit like that, but it's like with Courtney, we had Kay Possibro on. He's a really good cook. I was like, you ought to see the shit he cooks. I'm like, I don't mean it like shit, but you know, I'm just using it. Yeah. I'm just referring to it. That's just the noun I'm using.
Okay.
Well, I'll do, you know, another humorous, other question I had, because when I shared that Danny DeVito lovers Insta story with you, I laughed.
Oh my God, I texted you that this morning.
Yeah, I put that in the docs. I was like, I got to make sure to say that, because you said you got scolded by people for being a Always Sunny fan, which I fucking love that. I love that.
Right?
Show.
Do you like that show, Dave?
Oh yes.
That show is so amazing. Like,
I mean, Danny DeVito's a gem. God bless him.
Yeah, but no. Oh yeah. So I saw it in your story. No, so I used to waitress. That was like my former life. I was actually in like high-end event planning and waitressing for a million years. And I think that actually gave me a lot of my people skills and on my feet. And I mean, that's I think anyone should work in the restaurant business. It is so intense. I did for a long time as well.
My wife did as well, and she says she says the same thing.
Yeah, and I worked with like celebrities and events, so it's like I've seen it all. Like celebs behaving badly. Also in just like, you know, staff and all the stuff that goes along with working in the restaurant business. But no, in my 20s, I watched that. Like, I loved the way I would binge watch Orange is the New Black. It's Always Sunny, but the funny thing is, like, it offends everyone. Like, it offends everyone. And when you post it in your story, I just remember being a waitress and like standing at my table, and it was a couple. It was like, you know, we were all kind of the same age. It was like a guy, girl. And I don't know how that show came up. And I like quipped. I was like, oh my God, I love that show. Like super dorky. I was like, and the girls were like, oh, like, you call yourself a woman? That is so offensive. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep it moving. Bye, ladies.
Oh, that's what I thought. I was like, I wonder if people that don't know what Always Sunny is, if they see that Insta story and see Danny DeVito with Big Bird, and then Danny DeVito with, what's her name? Is it Catherine? I forget.
I think it was like Caitlin. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
which she's an attractive woman. If they didn't know the show, they would have no idea. They'd probably just think I was an asshole saying she looked like a bird. I was like, that's what their motherfuckers say. You know?
Yeah, no. Oh,
shit, it's funny. Yeah. I mean, God, it's still, I have this thing with numbers, and I feel like Always Sunny's been running for like 16 years.
Are they still doing new episodes?
I think they are.
Oh, wow. Because I thought I was a diehard fan, like in my late, but I will fully admit that I kind of just like, I think I bought the box sets, like the DVD. I bought the Christmas special, and I think I bought through season 6. And then I might have just, maybe I switched my addiction of television to Orange is the New Black.
Well, you know, the woman that wrote Weeds, she wrote Orange is the New Black, and I loved Weeds. So I was like, I definitely wanted to try it out. And my wife and I, we watched Orange is the New Black together. I don't know if she watched Weeds. I feel like I
only saw a few episodes. I've heard it's great, but I only saw a few episodes. I haven't gotten too deep into it.
I mean, me personally, I feel like it went on too long, but it was still a good show. But I feel like the last few seasons, that's just my opinion.
That sounds like just hearing you, I was like, that sounds like a few of the relationships I've been in. Like that just went on far too long. But there were some good seasons, there were some good moments, but like it went on far too long. And I'll also just say, I think, and again, like I'm very clear, like like I hold a lot of reverence for the space and the safety that I hold in my jobs. Like I'm also the director newly of a nonprofit that serves young girls in our community, where Dave and I are from, and I'm a trauma informed yoga teacher. So when I'm Luke, if you come to that space, like you'll be like, this is the girl that's on the podcast. Like I'm very, I'm still myself, but I show a different side of myself, and I hold space for some people that are bringing some pretty heavy stuff to the space. And I respect that. And I'm so fired up about what I do, but at the same time, I'm also very much me because, tying it back to yoga, some people are like, I only wear white. I don't believe in fornication. I don't eat meat. I don't say shit. I'm like, let's real talk with Tara. Like that is your yoga. And I respect that. Similarly, like our tagline, Luke, for the show is like comparison to theme for joy. It's like, who are you to tell me that your practice is better or more enlightened or more, and mind you, most of those people who like have all, worn certain colors and prayed to certain people, there's a lot of scandals that come out after the fact. So I'm very much like,
oh yeah,
I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a little outside, I color outside of the lines. Sometimes I laugh at funerals. Sometimes I say shit, but I think I'm the one thing I will say is like what I've heard in feedback is like, I'm very authentically me. And mind you, I struggled for years. I was not comfortable in my skin based on the trauma I had experienced as a kid. I was always thinking that comparison. I was like, well, I have to look like this person or I have to be like this person. And then finally I was just like, this is, what's that other saying? It's like, be yourself, everyone else is taken. So when I got to that point in my life, it's like, this is me. Yes, I could probably curse less in public or around my mom, which I never curse around my kids ever, or my student. I'm very, cross my T's and dot my I's because I know my place, the hat I have to wear that. But it's like, we can be funny, we can be sexy, we can be, especially as a survivor, that's another thing. It's like people that have had these difficult things happen to them, like I said, some can go in a real dark hole and be there. And again, I respect that. Other people go to the other, like me, I went really out there, very self-destructive as a result, and was just like, balls to the walls. Then I reined myself back in. So I don't think there's ever, especially with the yoga practice or any practice, there's no one size fits all. Like you guys work with a bunch of guys and ladies, and right, you're all different and you should celebrate your diversity. It's like, you don't have to look like one person or the other. So I think especially the way I live my life now, I'm extremely respectful of everyone's process. That's their process. Who is it for me to tell you that yours is better than mine or mine, or this is how you should? One of my therapists is like, don't should on yourself. It's like, anytime Earl says should, I'm like, honey,
Don't should on yourself. I like that. That's very catchy. I've not heard that one. That's nice.
There you go. That. You can use that now.
So a lot, there's a lot to unravel here because that was a lot.
How much time we got? I'm like, my water glass is almost empty, so I'll probably stop.
However long you have.
Oh my God.
One thing that I wanted to kind of tie it all into, which we talked about, was obviously the demographic that listens to our podcast is a lot. They do a lot of the same job that we do and work for the company, and I know one guy in particular who is a driver in the Boston area who is real big into yoga and Nidra yoga. And he's constantly posting stuff on his Instagram of him doing stretches, and he's interested in being certified, like all this, like all this stuff just to help drivers like ourselves. You know what I mean? Like whether it be stretches, breathing. When we had him on the podcast, he mentioned
shout out to Fitzy.
Yeah, shout out to Fitzy. That's him. He even mentioned Nidra yoga.
Yoga Nidra. That's what,
Yoga Nidra.
So Yoga Nidra literally translates to yogic sleep. So at the end of all my classes, I offer a short practice. By the way, I totally just brainstormed in my brain. You can keep going, Dave. I was like, I would totally offer a free Zoom class for like you and your like cohort of dudes.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be super. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, we can totally.
You guys are the guys that like, right? During the pandemic, what did everyone do? Order stuff from home. So you guys are out there hustling like 24/7. And I mean,
stop.
kind of like the restaurant. Yeah, you guys never stopped working.
That was the thing that made it probably made me keep my sanity, was that I didn't stop working, because it was weird, because right before I started on the route that I'm at now, I delivered in Morgantown, in a heavy traffic area where WVU University is, and traffic is always a pain in the ass. And the weirdest thing was this was the quarantine, the 14-day part, and seeing Morgantown as a ghost town, like just rolling through stoplights, and being like, in normal times, it would take me probably 15-20 minutes to get where I got. I mean, it was so weird. It was eerie. And I remember thinking, I was like, God, this is so, and like Dave and I had said before, like we both use sports. That was what we said. That's what because he's a big hockey guy. I love basketball, and they shut NHL, NBA, and like March Madness is going on right now. They shut down the NCAA tournament. We were like, whoa. Okay. I was like, shit's getting
when
serious.
you said before, like I was teaching actually school. I was working with special ed kids, and I had like a contract, and my last class was like, I went in on March. I remember you're talking about the 2 week, right? Can we just all take a moment to be like, what? It's been a year, right?
Yeah.
And it's I remember going into work to work with special ed kids, which were like my heart and soul. These kids had so much trauma, and they brought me so much joy working with them. I'm often also, like I said, my name's Tenacious Tara. I go in, I'm like, I'm going to work with the child prostitutes. I'm going to work with the people who just got out of rehab. People are like, I'd rather just teach to the upper echelon of people in Tribeca, New York. And I'm like, but mind you, they have trauma. I was actually talking to Earl about this recently. No matter where you are on the demographic of income earning or life or class or race, we all experience trauma. So again, it's also not trauma Olympics, I mean, there's obviously the people that are in extremely desperate places, who many I've worked with, and I was raised by a single mom, and, so that's just important to be said. But I just remember, going into work on March 11th, and they said, they're like, well, we're probably not going to have you in next week, to finish your last class of the contract, because we've all been told we have to prepare 2 weeks of school, right? Like we have to prepare 2 weeks of school for them at home.
Yep.
I was cracking up, because I always take the week of St. Patrick's Day off. It's always been a week I take off. So when I had it off last year, it was like right when this thing happened. And I like a video popped up from a year ago, and like my whole lingo, I was just cracking up, because it's so normal now. Because I was calling it the mask, like somebody had the mask on. And I was like, now it's just so fucking normal. But it was just funny, like the lingo of it, just not the not knowing.
But isn't that life, right? That is yoga, like not knowing. I mean, if anything, this pandemic has shown us, like, you don't know what the heck. I mean, especially because I work with kids, it's like hour to hour. When I started my new job with kids, it was like the school district was open. Oh no, we're all getting sent home. Someone has, it's like, and again, I don't have kids yet. And so but I know like everyone has gone through it, with just having to transition their lives. And, but I want to circle back to what Dave said, the dude from Boston. So he's like, down.
Yes.
He's down with the down dog.
Oh yeah. He's down.
Okay.
Yeah. He's definitely down with the down dog.
Well, I think let me just say though, I think when some men, and again, I will never generalize, but a lot of times like people think that's like either girly or spiritual, or it's like, I mean, but again, I try to make yoga, and I've taught athletes, I've taught people in wheelchairs, I've taught men, women, trans, you name it, I've probably worked with that population. So, but it's just interesting how there's been a shift, as you're saying with this gentleman from Boston, because it can mean so many things. Like when I first asked Luke, he was talking about flexibility. So it's like, there's also a lot of people and, who also do acro yoga and other things where it's just like, no, you're actually doing gymnastics, you're doing gymnastics, which is cool. But if you can stand on your head in the center of a beach, does that make you any more of an enlightened or kind person? That's kind of always my thing. And that's another whole topic, which I've had to speak on before, is like, Instagram yogis, because I think, and that's also with like the Kardashian syndrome or anything, filters and anything you see on social media, you're like, well, if they're doing it, is that real? And again, namaste to the people who are super strong and definitely strong.
Instagram yogis. Hold on.
And can turn themselves inside out. What?
I said, hold on. You said Instagram yogis?
Yeah. We can like look that stuff up right now, dude.
Instagram yogis. I'm thinking of I just think picnic baskets because I'm thinking of Yogi Bear now. He just yogis.
I'm like, am I hungry?
No, I know they don't that, but I just think Yogi. That's what the first thing got me.
Instagram
Yogi. I think Yogi. I still think Yogi Bear.
Well, I think it was more of saying and trying to tie it into it. I think we all, three of us together, get excited and off on tangents. So I'm taking a lead from Luke's book. Is that like, you know, so many people think they have, like I was saying, it's like you say yoga, and many people, what I've heard, said, I can't do yoga. I'm like, but what do you think you have to be doing? Like, really, what are we doing?
Sure.
I'm like, we practice. Like, I've been practicing for nearly 20 years. I've done hundreds of times a certain shape. And that's the other thing, point out, in terms of my trauma informed, I don't use the word poses because people have been exploited. So, you know, in like poses and photography. So it's like I use the word shape. So again, if you guys come to my classes or any of your people that listen in, because we'll definitely give a link to my website at the end, I really use something called invitational language. So it's about meeting you where you're at. And again, you could have practiced down dog 100 times, and every time the same. You guys go to work every day. Every time you show up and you're given your route or like you could drive past the same house 50 times. And it's like, maybe this morning your baby was a little colicky, or maybe it's like, oh, you slept through and so it's like, we're always in a different place in time. Or Luke drives by the same place. He gets distracted by a baby cow who wants to eat him.
True. I see it. And right where that damn cow's at there's a little bit of a curve, like a turn. So like I'll be driving and I'm just like, oh, hey, oh shit. Okay. Yep, keep
keep yourself safe, my friend. I mean, but I think especially, trying to circle it back to, your listeners. Yeah. I think that a lot of them are, like, let's be real. Like a lot of them are kind of in that fight or flight, just like boom, 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 like cardboard warriors, right? They're just like boom, 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 boom. Like they're just like, I know Earl is like, he gets home at the end of the day, he sits down, he's like, I'm like, oh, hi, nice to see you, honey. That is just like that. It's like that adrenaline high, you guys are and guys and gals are racing, and you guys are just like, pumping it. And so I think that any sort of practice that can just like power down your nervous system or regulate it or ground it. So that guy from Boston, you're saying he's into Yoga Nidra, which is a beautiful practice.
Yeah. And when he was talking to me about that, or was talking about us about that, I actually specifically asked him about the whole yoga thing, because it's always been something that's been interesting to me, is being able just to reset. And whether that be the Nidra, whether that be just breathing and just learning to find that, like, for instance, I'm just going to go off on a tangent here too, because we all have already, but like I saw this one post that came up, and it was the world's quietest room.
Oh.
And they say like some people can't even last like a minute in there because of how quiet it is.
Oh.
And but then like you hear like some people, they just lay there on the floor, and like it's to the point where like you can hear like not only your heartbeat, not only your lungs, but just the rest of your body, just like
we're vibrating
everything. You know what I mean?
Where is
like, it's almost too quiet for people. And it's like, that's like, I feel like that's what I want for like just something, just take like 10 minutes on my day or something and just.
Oh, I was going to be like, I want a week.
Myself.
I'm tired.
What is it?
I was like, I want a week there.
Yeah.
After this month that I've had in my career, everyone's like, you're doing so much. I was like, I'm tired. Well, think about it. Because especially, the one thing I'm hearing is, we're on Zoom now, and again, anything can be like, I was talking to Earl about, it's like, especially social media, anything, alcohol, anything can be medicine or it could be abused. Anything. Traditionally in Native Indigenous cultures, people use alcohol and tobacco and prayer and then it's been exploited into other things. So, social media is a tool. I get to stay on group chats with my friends in Turkey and Italy and Germany and India, but then it could also have that, flip side. So anything is, again, like that, referencing that poem, Two Wolves, it's like kind of the good or the bad. And I don't like to use the word good or bad, but that's what they use in that poem. Right. But yeah, so anything can be used as kind of like a burden or a blessing, or like, what do they say? It's like, does it stress you or does it bless you? Some days I want to talk to people on the phone. Other days I hear the ping and I'm like, oh my gosh, get away from me.
Right. So real quick, this will be a good time to go into the question of the week, because so we do this thing. I'm not sure if you saw it. So we do this thing where we ask a question of the week, and our followers will get back to us and they'll message. And let's get into that, because exactly what you were just talking about, how stuff that could be, a blessing or
I use the word burden, but I don't like to say that. What my phrase I say, does it bless you or does it stress you?
Sure. So the question of the week that we had this week, we kind of like to make it relate to the guest that we have on.
Okay.
So this one is, what activity do you enjoy doing to keep your body healthy? And some of the stuff we've had is a little mind blowing. Some of it's good. Some of it's very good. Some of it's just like, this person's just, I don't know.
Wait, so you asked this question and your viewers are actually answering it right now?
Well, we asked this back on this past Tuesday.
Got it.
Every Tuesday we have the question of the week posted.
Got it.
And then they'll have all the rest of the week to answer it and get back. So I'm going to go through and read what we have, and we can laugh. We can make a face if we're like,
I'm trying not to make a judgment face because I'm judging.
I know.
Again, comparison is a thief of joy. What helps someone else, blesses someone else, I might be like, you're not, or I might say, that's amazing. Yeah. So I'm just going to get on my game. You walked away. So that's not fair.
I know, right? His dog probably. So, feel free to chime in if you want. You don't have to. Okay.
I mean, I can tell you one thing for me, but I want to hear it from the readers.
Okay. So, I'll ask you when we're done with this. Yeah. So we got quite a few actually. So bear with us. Okay. This one's from Jerica D. She just says sleeping. Sleeping is her thing. It's obviously important to get enough sleep for the.
I will fully admit, that is the one thing I will fully admit that I think I'm not getting enough of. I'm doing the job of
Me too.
5 people right now.
Me too.
I literally, every time I have a meeting with a program director, they're like, "You're doing the job." Like I said, they're like, "You're everywhere." I'm like, I know.
Yeah, and then this one here is from Loiza. Shout out to Fernando. He says, and believe it or not, he says an hour of yoga, then a pint of beer.
I mean, mind you, again, you will not see me teaching that, but I have known people to teach beer yoga class. I'm like, first of all, doesn't that dehydrate you? But right. I mean,
hold on, beer yoga, that's a thing.
It's fine. I mean, I'm very open with her, but I had an ex that went to beer. Like, he literally posted on his Instagram, like, there was beer next to you. I'm like, y'all are just weird. But again, who am I to judge comparison?
Okay. That's interesting. Because
your friend likes to do yoga. Your friend likes to practice yoga.
Do yoga, then
okay.
Find a beer afterwards. I would think, yeah.
Couple snaps to him.
Absolutely. This one's from Cam Sow. It says chin-ups, trying to get my weight up like Kenny. Doing those 360. Yeah, Kenny's jacked.
Kenny, can I say something real quick about this guy? Kenny Phillips. He is a driver.
Okay.
And he, to say, what is it? Would you say calisthenics, Dave? Pretty much he can do backflips. He
like
can
parkour, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, he can pick up.
Very crazy, yeah.
He can be on like a bar, like a gymnastics bar, or like a tree limb, and like lift his body weight like he's picking up a bag of groceries. It's pretty impressive to watch.
Yeah.
He's a beast. He is a beast. Yes. Dallas Cowboys fan. That's his only weakness. Sorry, Kenny. Didn't mean to shout you out there.
That's all right. This one's from Tony Upsman 3010 says, I hit the gym 4 to 5 days a week. Keeps me sane for the most part. Absolutely. This one here is from Daily Gettin says, blunt after blunt. Got to keep that mental health.
I'm going to say to them, again, it can be a medicine. It can be, however you use it.
That's it.
Amen.
That's it. This one here is from ADG, awesome delivery guy. Says, we deliver parcels, no gym needed. Tacos and beers, please.
Tacos. Oh.
I know, right? Taco Tuesday.
Taco every day, my friend. Not just on Tuesdays.
That's true. This is from Hillary22 says, running, lifting, and I'm old. I think it's supposed to be, and I'm old. And she's running and lifting. So
Okay, but that helps her. Okay.
Yeah.
Great, love her.
Doodle Bob Tunes says Beat Saber. That's a video game.
Okay.
Nobody ever. Okay, yeah, Beat Saber. Here's another one from Jesus Christ. I can't pronounce this name. Natisa Shoop.
I like the inflection in your voice. I like that.
What? I don't know.
I butchered it and I apologize. She says, she also says sleep. So
by the way, I love how many people are ladies, like women. They're answering these. Like, do you have a lot of female listeners?
We have a good amount. Actually, next week, we're having on a female driver who drives tractor trailers for the company.
Amazing.
Yep. So this one here is from T Kingsbury 13, says fly fishing and getting out in nature. Absolutely.
Yeah, nature is healing. If you can get out, like even if,
that's the beauty of this job that we do. We're always outside. We're always, sometimes it could be terrible and we're out in snowstorms.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But we're always outside getting that fresh air. And
I know, like Earl always says, like he's hustling. I will say this, and I'm very open about this. My new job as the director of the nonprofit, again, I love it. I'm serving our community's youth where I was one. I spend more hours on Zoom every day than I sleep. And I'm like, I'm losing my mind. Like it is not healthy. Yeah. Anyway, and I live outside. I go, I live in like a mountain. But yeah, no, it is that we are all Zoomed the heck out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are. Well, not us, is it? Not these episodes. I don't mean that. I don't mean this Zoom. I don't mean this Zoom. I'm meaning like virtual concerts.
All right, Luke,
I can't wait to get back in there. Yes. Sorry, I should have specified.
This one is from Divato Loco. Says, I keep exercise light so it doesn't feel like a chore. 20 minutes of rowing, 20 minutes of abs. Go to sleep when you're tired and wake up without an alarm.
Wow, I want to be that human.
I know.
Yeah, right.
This guy must not work for the company.
What did you say?
I said, this guy must not work for the company. I don't know.
I also love how you call it the company. Is that from like the Matrix? Like when I know what you're referring to, but when you say the company, doesn't it sound like it's like the Matrix?
It's funny because
I wish it was the Matrix.
It's funny because most people know, well, all of our listeners know what we're talking about.
I know what you're talking about too, but as soon as you said the company, I was like, was it the like what movie was it where they called it the company?
That wasn't that the Matrix?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like when you guys are calling the companies, I knew exactly what you're referring to and why you refer to it. But as soon as you said that, I was like, it reminds me of that.
This one here is from Idaho Birder, says fly fishing and birding helps keep my mind centered and focused. Another fly fishing. So we got 2 for fly fishing, 2 for sleeping.
What some of these people do to help live my best life.
Here we go. This is from Those Three Dudes podcast. Says, about to get back into paintball again. Nothing helps the mental and physical health like blasting your enemies in the face with paintballs.
Oh, okay. They got some yayas. I call it yayas. They got some energy. They're holding. They got it out.
That's it.
I recommend keeping people safe and kind, but you do you.
That's it. And Jensen 34 says, we don't have time for activities.
He definitely works for the company.
So I commented, I love the positivity going on here. I was like, that's what I commented when he said that, when I read that. But
you know this individual?
Negative.
Okay, yeah.
Negative. Nope. But I would say for me personally, obviously doing this podcasting, getting to meet people and getting to talk to them, it's mostly the weekend like relief type thing. It's just you know what I mean? Work week's over. Let's have some fun. Let's get the podcasting. If not that, it would be softball season during the summertime. I enjoy playing softball. And then if not that, it would have to be music. Sometimes I just like to sit there, throw a pair of headphones on, and just be surrounded by what's going on in these, headphones.
Yeah.
And I would literally sit there and close my eyes and hear every single thing that's happening in that song. But that's me. Luke, what about you?
Well, go ahead and read my wife's comment. She still put on there, Dave. I know you got it on there.
I skipped it on purpose.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I just wanted you to say it. I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. Go ahead and read the comments real quick. Just give go ahead his question of the week.
I was just gonna make you say it. But,
all right, I'll go ahead and summarize. Well, not summarize. So she put a laugh cry face emoji, and I already knew where she was going. I already knew where she was going just simply by that emoji.
Yeah.
So I replied back with the flexing emoji, like a bunch of that, and then she replied back with a bunch of eggplant emojis.
Oh.
So basically, we just
we like emoji. It's going downhill.
I mean, we enjoy eggplant parmesan. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's not what you guys think, but.
Yeah, that's it, buddy.
That eggplant parm can really be a satisfying.
That's a release. I mean, like I said, we all
literally.
That's what she said. She's like, well, that was. I mean, yeah, we do. Yeah. I mean, we do other stuff too, but. Yeah, we do a lot of that too, I suppose.
They do. Real quick too, there was also 2 from Facebook as well, but Instagram's where it's at. But these 2 for Facebook, real quick. This one's from Sean Avery. Says, I do a CrossFit workout every morning and add paddleboarding and fat biking on the weekends.
Fat bike or fat wheels. You guys know what those are, right? Like
yes. Okay.
I I've had a few exes. Yeah, one of my exes was really into
fat biking. That's what they call it.
Yeah, I mean, he was just really into the cycling world, and so I heard all about them.
I never knew it actually had a name. I've seen it.
Yeah, I didn't either. I know the bike you're saying, but I had no idea it was called that.
Last but not least, this one's from Lauren Heppel-White. Says, I cycle indoors on my Peloton and when the daylight permits outside on my road or mountain bike. So she enjoys
a lot of active people on this podcast.
It's, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So what's yours, Tara?
So, okay. Well, I'm solely just because I'm on here and it's my first appearance, I'm going to keep it more PG. Going to not talk about I was like, with Luca, I was like, we all like those things.
No eggplant emojis. I guess.
Yeah, no eggplant. I have this one friend, bless his heart, and Earl knows him too. Total friend, like always been in the friend zone. Just like, will always comment on my post with eggplant emojis. And I finally had to be like, can you just please stop doing that? Like, he knows Earl. He loves Earl. We've all gone out dancing. But his name is Kenny. If he ever listens, like, shout out to Kenny. Like, please stop with the aggressive eggplant emojis.
Aggressive. Well, like, is he meaning it like to say, is it like supposed to be like you look pretty, but he's sending it as an eggplant emoji? Tell him to send the heart, the smiley face, the hearts in the eyes. That's a lot more.
It's not like I invited it. It's not like I reciprocated it or I asked for it. So I'm kind of like, and I'm in a committed partnership. So keep you and your eggplants for some other Tinder update.
It's funny.
So anyway, my things that I like. Okay, so be very honest. Like I said, my teaching is kind of like my practice to teach. I love like hip hop dance. I have like jokingly said, I think I'm like the white Beyonce, like hip for me, like for real, like I have a lot of energy as you guys can tell, but also just to like get out, I call it yayas. So like physical movement. I love pre-pandemic and also Earl and I, like, as you've seen some of my videos, like I love to dance. That is a huge stress. I grew up dancing, my mom was a dancer. So that would be the first thing. Obviously, unfortunately in COVID, I have not gone to organized exercise classes. So now that I'm also transitioned to working at home, I live kind of like on a mountain area. You probably know Dave. I'm not going to give out my exact address, but where Overlook the trailhead is and like the monastery, right? Yeah, I mean, you're local. So I live out by there. So I live on the other side, not the Overlook side, like Mead Mountain, the backside. So my thing is I walk to the bottom of the hill and back every day, like rain, shine. I'm just like, I am attached to my computer. I'm like, I need to take a pause. I was trying to do it in the beginning of the day, but then sometimes the day just gets away from me. So that I do every day. And then this gets fun. Real talk with Tara. My job gave us from the top gave us a self-care stipend. And they were like, Tara, you're the director. Use the money as you see fit. Mind you, I'm like getting gift cards for my advisory committee because they're amazing. I got chocolate for my bookkeeper. But I looked at my boss and I was like, to my boss, I said, I want a massage and I want a trampoline. And she was like, pardon? And I was like, I want a massage and I want a trampoline. And I think just that energy, like that bounce, like I am on my computer so much that I was just like that agitated. I was like, holy crap, I need to bounce it out. So it came 2 days ago.
Nice.
Girl help me. It's a mini one. You know, I actually, when I was a kid, had a big one. But kid you not, I had that event last night with like the senator and the news was there, and I didn't have time to walk the bottom hill. I kid you not. Put on my sports bra, unfolded the trampoline in the front yard, blasted J-Lo, don't know why, and I just jumped for like 15 minutes. And I was like, if the neighbors drive, the UPS guy was like, he's gonna see a show. Literally, I was like out in my front yard in little shorts, bouncing for 15 minutes. I was like, get it out, Tara, get out your stress, get out your yayas. There ain't no time for eggplant emojis before this event. So, I was like, so yeah. So I think for me, it's really physical movement. I agree with a lot of the people. I do also love nature. There's something just really, I'm very grateful and blessed because I've also lived in New York City and I've lived in India where it's like a concrete jungle with a lot of pollution and overpopulation. I mean, I love India as well. But I lived in a city that was kind of congested. So I'd say nature and physical movement, and echoing, I need more sleep. I need more sleep.
Sure. That's awesome. So yeah, I just thought that would be a great time to bring up the question of the week because of what you were just talking about before.
Yeah.
And, you know, just tied all in together there on what other people enjoy doing.
So your questions though every week are, the more that I start to listen, are based on like, it's a question and then everyone's tuning in.
Yeah, we've been starting to try to base it more on who we're having on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for instance, the one that people are going to hear previous to yours is a guest that we had on. His name's Alex. He's actually a driver from the UK.
Oh wow!
And he's also a musician.
Oh nice.
So like the question of the week last week was, what would be your soundtrack when you're out there delivering on the road? You know, what would be your song? Like when you're out there delivering, like if it was a 90s sitcom and it was your turn with your name and you were shown on the intro of the sitcom, what would be the song playing? You know what I mean? As you're walking up to the door or something, just all. So like that's kind of how we.
You already asked that question.
All 90s sitcom-y.
That was what you asked last week.
Yes.
Okay, because I was like, oh, my mind went to so many things. I was like, it would probably be some Lizzo. You walking up to your door like Lizzo, like. You know, it's probably what I thought, you know.
Oh yeah. So that's what we're trying to do, is just trying to.
I like that. Like with the community and the fan engagement. I like it.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, the fan engagements is awesome. Those guys are freaking amazing.
It is. That's the best part.
Yep. So, Luke, I mean, I feel like there's just so much more we can talk about. Like there's so much more. Like we're gonna have to have you on for like part 2 eventually.
We may, I was gonna say we may have to. Yeah, that's definitely, this would warrant a part 2. So we got 2 part 2s we're gonna have. We've already, that's not a bad thing.
Wait, 2 part 2s? Wait.
No. We somebody who you met earlier before we started recording. We had Joe Rogan. Not for everybody listening, because we said not the "you crazy Joe Rogan," not that one. This is, he was a driver, a former driver, and so we had him on, and his story is there's enough. It's enough for a 2-parter. So that was what I meant when I said we had a second 2-parter. Yeah, that's what I meant by that. Yeah, that's where
I think. You know, because at this point we're off to the races, but I think it would be awesome if you invite me back next time. Absolutely. To like actually have an experience of like me guiding you guys through like a 3 to 5 minute practice.
Oh hell yeah!
I think that would be. I mean, we always could do it right now, but I feel like we're kind of already like talking about those juicy things.
Yeah.
So I think because I thought about that earlier. I was like, that would be super cool to like open or to like lead you guys through like a very short kind of guided practice. I think
that'd be cool. That'd be different for sure. That would be cool. Awesome. So let me ask you, Tara, real quick, because we ask everybody that we have on here before this ends, is do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I was trying to think about I would say, okay, what is, and this will probably be like open-ended, what is like the favorite part of your job, and what is kind of the most tedious or most difficult?
See, this is so cool because having someone on that's not a part of what we do, you can ask these questions. You know what I mean? It's like other people that ask those questions is, here and there, which is awesome. But then you get stuff like you're like, from a customer's point of view, like what would it be?
I've also experienced the person that I'm dating has been a card where I've been on the phone with it. That's why when you guys called me for kind of the pre-interview last week, and I was like, "Oh, are you guys out working right now?" And you apologized. I was like, "No, I already learned real quick not to try to have light, deep talk. I don't know if you guys talk to your wives while you're on the road, and they're like, "Honey, the baby's," and you're like, "Hi, thank you. Can you please sign for your package?"
Yeah.
Or Luke got distracted by farmyard animals or whatever. But
I'll tell you, that was that honestly was. I almost went back to the old area that I used to deliver, but part of that I was like, man, I'm going to have just a bunch of students and a lot more traffic and zero animals. I'd rather I'll stick with the cows and the no traffic.
Yeah. So it's been really interesting to date someone who is in the same profession as you guys, because it's there are really amazing aspects of the job that I hear about, and there's hard ones. And also mind you, in this, you guys are in some ways the service industry. You are providing a service, and I was a server and a waitress and a restaurant manager for 15 years. And let's be real, sometimes it's a thankless job, but other times you have those customers that you get to know their families. They give you Christmas gifts, they give you birthday gifts, and it's and I've had the same experiences where it's I became people's family from serving them. And then I also had people that just wrote me off, wouldn't look up from their phone and were like, "Oh, I want this."
And exactly what you just said though, it's true because my first day back after having a kid was the beginning of March 8th or March 7th.
Oh wow, you're new back.
Yeah, exactly. This was my second week back so far. And I've had a few customers already give me gifts for the baby. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's that relationship that I've grown with them. Yeah. And there's select customers of mine that I am also friends with on Facebook, and they see that other side of me because on my personal account I post pictures of my family, I post pictures of my baby, of my kids. You know what I mean? So they see that side, and like you said, that relationship, and that's to me is what to go back to your question. That to me, that's one of the greatest things. How I feel anyways about this job is having your own route. There's some people that don't enjoy having their own route. That's them. That's what they enjoy. They enjoy going to different places. I completely, understand. But for me personally, I enjoy having my own route because I get to have that relationship with those customers. Yeah. And there every time, 99% of the time, there's that slight 1%, but that 99% of the time, they are always happy to see you. And they're like, "Hey, Dave, hey, how's it going?" And they'll know you by name. You'll build that relationship. They may talk to you for a few minutes, just catch up. And then, then there's that 1% of the time, like you were saying during the pandemic and all that stuff. And, there was one time when this one customer, and it came up actually recently on my Facebook memories, was I had a customer who I deliver there almost every day. Every day I'm there almost every day. And right when the pandemic first started a year ago, I had a delivery for this guy, and he had a decent long driveway. Okay. And I usually back up the driveway because there's nowhere to turn around. So I usually back up it. It takes me a little while to back up it because it's kind of long. And I saw this guy at the bottom of his driveway getting his mail in his car. And I was like, "Oh, perfect. I'm going to catch him. I'm going to go. I give you the package. I don't got to go up the driveway now. It's great. It's great for me, And so when I approached his car with the package, mind you, this is when the pandemic first started. This guy, I approached his passenger window, and he was the only one in the car. And he rolls down the back passenger window, and with no lie, gets this attitude with me and goes, "I'm not touching you or this package. You could go leave it up there at my garage." Like that, freaked the fuck out on me because, like we said, with the pandemic stuff, people's anxieties and emotions and everything were just through the roof. And I'm sure that happened with this guy. And that's why he was like that. But at that time, to me, I'm just like, "Whoa, buddy." You know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to do my job, and I'm still working here. Obviously, we're one of the companies that never stopped when shit hit the fan, and so that's the 1% that it's just like, you know what I mean? So there is the good. And then that was probably one of the worst interactions I've ever had with somebody out.
So wait, but this is really interesting given the work that I do. Let's take a pause. That is a trauma response of his.
Sure.
That is him either hearing in the news. And again, like, who are we to say, like, yes, do this, don't, like we all, like I said, we could all see an accident and all react differently. But his outlash at you, and mind you, probably most of the outlashes I received in my waitressing years, you guys receive on it. The adversity, the difficult is most likely, like, if someone's being a jerk to you, it's probably because there's something going on at home, not because you delivered the package later in the rain or whatever. You know what I mean? So like that abrupt, mind you, and with all the racial injustices and all the COVID and all the Band-Aids and all the vulnerability, all the things that were already hard pre-pandemic got harder. Like, let's just say for what it is. So what that guy's saying was the trauma response. He's thinking he's going to get COVID from you or the packet. I even remember like family members found like wiping everything down that showed up, or like grocery. And I was like, okay, fine, let's wipe down everything we bought at the store, because that's, but I still definitely try to adhere and live my life, even when things are difficult, at least still try to be kind to people.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys obviously know, and I get the feeling you guys have both been doing this for a while, that like anytime you get a customer being a total jerk face to you, it's not really about you. Unless someone who throws the package like out at the wind and just
right. And I understood that because I knew what was going on, obviously, in the world, and I knew why he reacted that way, obviously, but then it's just like on my end, I'm like, I think about that and I'm like, okay, I know COVID, whatever. But then on the other hand, I'm like, dude, like I'm here because you guys ordered this. I don't want to be here.
Right. If anything, more people are ordering crap at home to get
now, yeah.
Totally. They're like even ordering like toilet paper, because like they don't want to go to the store.
Yep.
So
gyms.
Yeah. What?
I said gyms. We're delivering.
Oh my God! Right. I ordered a trampoline. One of your guys maybe dropped off my trampoline outside. One day I looked outside and I was like, it's my trampoline.
But no, I just to piggyback off of what Dave said, it like the 1%, you remember that maybe, but the good definitely outweighs the bad. And I feel like that would be, the customer interaction, working outside, kind of still being your own, you're still your own boss to an extent. You're out there by yourself, doing your thing. I feel like if there's something that I would say that I like about it the least is that in that line of work, like the job's it's kind of right in front of you. And I know every job and every occupation, there's going to be people that get treated one way and there's people that are going to get treated another way. Yeah. But in this industry, like it's right in front of you. So, like it can just be like, sometimes it can be, and it can be different. I'm sure it's probably a little different everywhere, but there's definitely politics in every center, and sometimes you have to deal with that. But that's still, I still think that definitely, it's like the 99% of good customers and the 1% of bad. It's kind of the same thing. It's still the bad or the good outweighs the bad. I've said time and time again, I was going to go to school originally to be an accountant, and I could not see myself sitting at a desk doing that job. And I love what I do. I think Albert's episode, maybe I can't quote it verbatim. It was like, we love what we do. We hate to love it, but we still love it. It's definitely it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
But it's, there's definitely a lot there, there's a lot worse you could definitely do. We're all employed. We have worked our asses off. Yes. But, to look at it at a different angle, we haven't had to worry about, being unemployed, waiting on trying to, either relief, or we've been able to work this whole time. And you gotta, it's still, that's a blessing in itself. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, and just like with anything, you just got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, no, and I can definitely understand. I mean, even with the work that I've been doing the last few months as a program director for an organization, it's like, it's been a labor of love. Like, especially I inherited a program that I ended up kind of having to revision, which was almost like a surprise to me. It was like, I thought I was coming into a program where it was all, someone was like passing the baton, and I was like, oh no, there is no baton. It's like, Tara's, no, again, that'll be like, again, I don't want to like talk too much about my company, the company. But it was more work than I could have ever imagined. And I've had, I don't want to say sleepless nights, but I've had like, Earl has had to, like, he's been here and it's like 11 or 12. And I, especially as the director of an organization, I have to be like, the to-do list will still be there tomorrow. And I've talked to business owners and, it's like, and again, I have so much respect for you guys, but it's like, you guys punch in and you punch out. Directing an organization, it's like, I am attached at all times unless I put a pause. So my practice has been realizing of like healthy boundaries, putting a pause, doing all that kind of stuff. And yeah, like, I think it sounds like you guys, like, you really love your jobs and you're really committed to it, which is amazing, because and that's what I think is also important. And again, like, being raised by a single mother, growing up with some adversity, like, whether you're the checkout person at Walmart, whether you're an elected official, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a stay-at-home parent, like, every body is needed in the framework of community. And I have a real bone to pick. I was in the service industry. I was a waitress, where people like look down, like, oh, this is all you do. And I was like,
yeah, right.
Pause. Like, oh, this is what you guys do. And it's like, first of all, you guys are essential. You guys, your drivers, you're like the life beat. You're the essential worker that brought us all of the slippers and like the trampolines and the whatever the heck. I mean, people probably ordered some weird stuff during this pandemic, I can imagine. But so it's like, I have a real hard time when anyone kind of looks down on any form of job, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you might not want to be doing that, or you might not be well suited to that, but it's still needed and necessary. And similar to you guys, it's like, I love what I do, but I definitely want to do more sleep, but I know it'll get there. Because at least, kind of how I've related it to my loved ones right now is like and you would know, you just had a baby, Dave. Well, your wife would know, not you, but like the push kind of required to like birth something. Yeah. Hopefully you wouldn't know, something we don't know about. But, like the push kind of required to birth things. That's kind of the phase that I'm in right now. It's like, I am manifesting the heck out of life. And like I said, from podcasts to Senate, like co-sponsored events with senator. I mean, things that it's like in my wildest dreams, like I knew that I wanted to serve my community. I kind of had a flavor being like, I want to be the helper for the underdog. But I never really knew what it would look like. So I think because I want to also, if I have a question, it's like, where do you guys kind of vision and see this going? Like, where do you guys want to see this kind of blossom and manifest into?
This podcast?
Yeah.
I think we've said it. I think we said it once on the podcast. I think somebody else asked us that same exact question.
Okay, all right.
But
episode.
No, yeah, but I think it was way earlier though. But I mean, we would love for this to blossom to where it, be almost bringing the community together in a way. Meaning all the drivers, all the delivery people, and then even, I mean, imagine like, it blows up to where it gets to, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners. We don't have thousands and thousands of listeners right now.
Yeah.
But, okay. Let's say it gets to thousands, hundreds of thousands, because there's over 200,000 delivery drivers who work for Big Brown, if you will. Okay. And so that's 200,000 people that could possibly hear this. And then that's just them. That's not including the other parcel companies. That's not including them, where there's even just more people. But if it blows up to something like that, then imagine going to do, certain, whether it be a live podcast in different cities where you get people from all the different companies together. And, they're there at a restaurant, we take over this restaurant for one night and we'll do a live podcast for them.
And I'll lead
and then just travel. Right. Yeah. Just travel. And if eventually, I don't know, sponsorships, ads, readings, and we make a living doing this.
You live your best life. You aim for the stars, my friend.
Dude, that's it.
Have you guys met in real life?
Not yet.
We have not yet. No.
Nope. Crazy, right?
And I mean,
on that note, no, I just realized, and then I want to hear Luke's answer. Like, this pandemic and then all the Zoom has confused the heck out. I mean, I literally have done events with this woman, and we've been on so many Zoom. And last night we met in person, and she texted me like a week or so. She's like, "I can't wait to finally meet you." And I read her message. I was like, "Duh!" I literally replied. I was like, "I thought we met in real life." Like, I genuinely. She texted me, was like, "Can't wait to meet you in person." And I was like, "Don't I know you?" And I was like, "Oh no!" Like, I genuinely was like, "I thought I knew you," and I was like, "No, it's because we've seen each other on Zoom so much."
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll be. I said to him, I was like, I'll just probably be like, "Damn, you're a lot taller than a Zoom screen or my phone screen."
True, it's true. But like a quick story though about that, because I kind of had the same thing. I kind of had like a catfish situation as well, where I'll tell you real quick. I'll put a long story short. So, this happened, oh my God, probably about 14 years ago. I was playing video games online, young kid. And I met these two guys playing this hockey game who live in Vegas, and those guys are friends with each other. So they were playing online. We ended up in the same game, met online. Needless to say, 14 years later, we still text each other. And the one kid, his name's Rob, he flew from Vegas over here, stayed at my house. And it was the craziest thing. Cause like you said, you're like, haven't I met you before? It was the weirdest thing. Cause even though it was the first time me and Rob ever met, it was like we were friends for like, you know what I mean? Like over 10 years at that time, you know what I mean? And like, it was literally like we've hung out so many times. It was just like nothing, it was just crazy. And then his friend, Dunk is his nickname. Dunk, first time I met him was at my wedding. So Rob and him.
Wait, you invited this dude that you met?
I invited Dunk and Rob to my wedding. But I met Rob once previously. But yeah, and then so the first time I ever met Dunk was at my wedding.
What?
And, yeah. So that was pretty awesome. And we still, to this day, we still talk to each other, and like it's just like it's pretty neat. You know what I mean?
And like I said, it is really amazing and awesome. That, like I said, I was in a group. When I was in India, I did this 3-week, actually, like very intensive therapy group with people from India, Turkey, like all the different countries, Japan. And we had a group text. And is it 5 or 6? Yeah, 5 years later, we literally still have a group text. And we group text. We all met in person, but it's like we group text. So like one of the person's husbands just died, birthdays, like and I'm just like, wow, this is like, we're still going. Like if we haven't talked to each other in a month and someone will randomly pop on, it's like, you go team.
So did I hear you say that you wanted to hear Luke's answer to your question?
Yeah.
What do you see coming out of this?
Oh, well, shit. I mean, basically.
All right, I gotcha.
The guy who cooks really good. Yeah, I get
it. For me, because I got recruited to do this, they got a hold of me back, and I met Dave, and we started. Basically we have pretty much the same vision for it. I'm just like, basically I kind of went into it just thinking, well, I'm just going to enjoy the ride and meet a lot of different people to get to know them and just have a blast with it. If it has success, then great. And, if it ends up, however it goes, no matter what, at this point, it was like, if this would be the last episode we ever did, it would be an amazing experience for me.
Yeah.
Just for having, for doing this and having to just getting to know people in a different level than you do just by following somebody on Instagram, or, just getting, you just build, it's like building a network kind of, and, and it just, basically it's pretty much the same as what Dave said. And, I just, but that's kind of like my thoughts. Yeah, I'm along for the ride, and I'm along to see where it goes. I mean, I like to talk. People seem to enjoy the stories and the bullshit that comes out of my mouth, because I fucking ramble a lot, and I'll keep rambling. If they want to keep listening, I'll keep rambling.
It is like, I mean, and it's so funny, like, and it's just, I think I just asked it because it's like, well, what are you guys doing with this? But mind you, and I like will tie it to like the yoga thing, which is like what initially brought me on. Very similarly to my story, it was like, I knew, like when I went into my initial yoga teacher training, I knew, like, I was like, I want to be like the yoga cheerleader for the underdogs. But had you asked me, but mind you, then what? I left college when all my trauma hit the fan, the stuff hit the fan. And I had wanted to, like, I actually went to college for a short time on a full scholarship for pre-law, social justice, international relations. And now 15 years later, I'm now the director of an organization serving our community. Mind you, where I grew up, it's like, it's like pinch me, you know what I mean? So I think what I would try to say, and I say this to Earl, and I say this to the people that are close to me that I love, it's like, it's really awesome to have an intention, but also be open to magic. Like, it's not about just the destination, it's about the journey. And had you asked me I'm in my mid 30s, had you asked my 20-year-old self of like, you're going to eventually get there, honey, just keep going. Or it's like, or it's also okay to take a pause, or it's also okay to be going down one road and change your mind. So it's like, while I asked you guys those questions, and it's like, Dave, it sounds like is going to have like a conference, like a conference where we're going to do well.
I want like a concert.
What?
I said, I want like a concert.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we all want, concert, you said restaurant. It's like a gathering. Let's just call it a gathering. No rule.
After COVID,
yeah, we don't need to define it right now. But I think the thing that's just awesome is like having a goal and an intention, but also just being, and I literally say this to Earl all the time, like, have an intention, honey, but be open to how these, like, again, had you asked me 2 months ago, you're going to be presenting with the state senator, I would have been like, what are you talking about? I don't got time for, or I feel insecure. I have imposter syndrome. And it's like, what I've accomplished in the last week has been magic, because I just manifested. Mind you, with saying that, I say that like, oh yeah, because I know people on the call want to know our catchphrases. I always say, like, you can't control what shows up at your door, but you can control what you let in.
Yeah.
And some of the things that come to you, you're like, yes, 100% yes. But then even from like the yoga perspective, your body is your teacher. If you're like feeling like it's a no, follow that. Or maybe it's a maybe, or maybe it's a maybe later or something. But I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. And I just appreciate you guys having me. And I think it's just keep doing it. And like, you never know who you're being a lighthouse for. You never know.
Yeah. And that's even goes back to your question too. And just like Luke said, the experience, I think is what Luke said. And just this time and what we're doing and getting to meet people, but not only that, giving them, for instance, with Earl, like, I know one of the things Earl kept saying to us afterwards was he felt closure, and
I mean, I've been with Earl for the last few years of this, and I knew he needed to get, I was like, honey, you got to write, you got to do something, you got to get, you got to let it go.
Right. And that when he said that, I was like, damn.
And like, he said that to you too.
Like, that's amazing to me, or to us. I'm sure Luke can, and I'm sure Luke can say too, is that's incredible that we gave him this platform to just, just let it out and just breathe. And like you said, who knows, who we'll have on, basically, who knows who we'll have on and how they would feel after the fact, after they got off on,
and I think that's amazing, and then even tying it like into the work that, I mean, that's like a trauma informed, like, remember how I told you I like to shake and get it out? Yeah. It's because, especially, I mean, since you mentioned Earl, like, again, without getting to it, like, he was carrying a lot of stress, and he was carrying his body, and he was carrying, and like, I mean, I've spent countless nights just talking, and I was like, I love you, I'll hold space for you, I'll listen to you, but there needs to be that discharge. There needs to be that release. There needs, this is like the trauma informed educator in me. There needs to be that, and mind you, there are people that go through their whole lives still holding burdens. And my heart is with all those people who have not found a safe outlet to release. Because so many of us turn to, and again, I don't even want to say bad, because that's not like, not the most helpful, like whether it be, our phone addiction or whatever, gambling or, food or, like I said, anything can be a blessing or a stress. And so I also want to thank you guys, because I remember hearing him be on the show with you guys multiple times. He was a repeat customer. And he said that, he felt, and I listened to the first one. I still need to listen to the second. But that's great that you guys give people the opportunity to do that, because
Totally.
tying it into like the trauma-informed work that I do, once someone has kind of released that, it doesn't have the same charge.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't have the same charge that it once did. So it's just all energy that we're trying to move through, and even like tying it back to the story of the guy who rolled down the window, is like, he was charged. He was fired up. And hopefully he's got a healthy way in the last year to.
Yep. Exactly. So Luke, do you have anything else for her?
No, I think we're good, other than Tara, we appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you guys. I look forward to meeting us in an experiential thing.
Absolutely. So Tara, tell our listeners where they can find you.
Yes. So I would say, let's see, I'm on Instagram as Tara Sanders. True story. I keep my Instagram private. That's like personal preferences. So it's just like love from inbound. I'm like, but if they're all followed by you, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll let you slide into the DMs. Hopefully no, awkward emojis are present in them. But if you, I got to keep it coming, kind of laughter is medicine in my book. But from a real like perspective of healing and wellness and inclusivity, if you go to my website, which is www.tarasanders.net, on the classes page, there will be a link. So like I said, I offer free trauma-informed classes Tuesday evenings, 6 to 7 Eastern Standard Time, because I know you guys serve people all throughout the country. And we do them in cycles. So like, the way we get grant funding, we had 7 classes. I just did the 4th one, so we'll have 3 more. We take a month off. We do another 7 class, and then an 8. So we'll have them in April. We'll have them in May, June, and then August, September. So again, they're free. They're a safe place to just come and be present and breathe and practice in a way that meets you and greets you where you're at. So I'd love, like I said, anyone that could benefit from those practices from here are definitely welcome to tune in.
Awesome. Does my video have to be on for that?
Oh, I was actually just going to say, no, I was like, no, but for real, I was actually going to just seriously say that. So my supervisor, who is an amazing woman, I just love her with my whole heart and soul. She is kind of like the admin of the, the and so she mutes everyone, because obviously then we'd have really awkward background noise. Yeah. But no, so yeah, you are actually, I don't want to say it's encouraged, but it says in the flyer that you're welcome to turn off your screen. And I think most people just do. And again, I'll also just like put it out there. What we practice in this form of yoga is the gentle restorative. So it's completely safe and well, like all bodies, every body is a yoga body. So in no way are we like practicing standing on your head or doing parkour or doing acro yoga or hip hop, which are all cool things, but that's not what this offering is. So you can turn off. I mean, you'll be muted by my supervisor, because we've had some people turn their thing on. And it's just weird. We've heard weird things happen in the background. And then my favorite, I will say, side note, my favorite is that I'm on a lot of meetings. I'm on a lot of coalitions and committees for the county, like mental health and DV and addiction. And I've straight up been on a meeting with like 50 of the mental health leaders from our community, Dave and Luke. And it's like, I've heard in the background, like one of like the main addiction counselors who runs be like, and we're like, someone's like, Chris, you're not muted. It's just like 50 little boxes. And that has never happened in my yoga class, but it's like, we're all on Zoom meetings now. And I was like, that stood out for me when like this guy just kept cursing and we were all like, we know it's you, Chris, like mute yourself. So yes, you can turn off your screen to your little black box. You will be muted, and it's just a safe space to come and breathe and be present. Mind you, every class will be different, kind of in short what we offer or what I offer. There's always a grounding practice. So just kind of really arrive, kind of start to unravel and unwind. There's a gentle moving practice, which again, many different options. And then we always end with about like 5 minutes of yoga nidra.
Cool.
So that's that.
Guys, you heard it. tarasanders.net. TARASANDERS.net. Correct?
Correct.
Cool. Awesome. I'm definitely going to hit you up for part 2. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed Tara's story, and we're going to definitely have her on again to continue this, because there's a lot more we can definitely touch on. And with that being said, Everyone out there, have a safe rest of your day. Have a safe week. And whatever you're doing out there, continue delivering greatness. All right. So we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, guys.